LA City's Guaranteed Basic Income pilot program launched in 2022, giving 3,200 people $1,000 a month for a year with no strings attached. Now, the program was called Big Leap and meant to give the city's impoverished residents some financial breathing room and to obtain stable and gainful employment and lift themselves out of poverty. Now, the jury is still out on the efficacy of universal basic income programs, and we'll get into the pros and cons in a minute. But first, here's a look at the impact of the city's program and why we're seeing more UBI programs across the state. Time is a precious commodity for Los Angeles resident Megan, who cherishes every free moment with her 4-year-old daughter, Kai.
Thank you.
A ray of sunshine in what's been a tough couple of years for the 31-year-old mother who preferred not to use her last name. Back in 2020, Megan was going through a divorce, didn't have a stable place to live or a steady income until she learned about the City of LA's Guaranteed Basic Income program called Big Leap.
We were in between homes, so I was living back with my grandparents in one of their rooms.
She applied and got accepted into the program, giving her $1,000 a month for a year, no strings attached. The extra cash helped Megan get back on solid ground and put down a deposit for an apartment.
Because of my financial situation at the time, I didn't have a savings. So this was something that was basically the main source of income until I kind of got approved to do caregiving at that time.
The pilot program recently ended, and it's one of many across the U.S. that are trying to alleviate poverty and financial instability. LA's program was the largest in the U.S., giving out $38 million to more than 3,200 residents, according to Abigail Marquez with the city's Community Investment for Families. She says recipients spent the money on basic needs, but to effect real change, it will take more than a pilot program.
We want this to be a permanent solution, but it also needs to be coupled with policy reform in how we support low-income families and how we create economic opportunity that is more permanent.
Critics say unconditional cash programs could cost too much or discourage work. But Natalie Foster with the Economic Security Project, a network focused on advancing guaranteed income in America, says she's seen otherwise.
We have seen that people actually find full-time work at double the rate of the control group in one of the pilots. And that is because people have the ability to go to a job interview that they might not get, to go buy the suit, spend the time looking for a job that's near their home.
Or in Megan's case, helped her pay for a place to call home.
This was like the thing that kind of brought me joy because it made me feel like I can take care of my daughter.
Megan says with a roof over her head, she can focus on the future. She wants to be an event coordinator one day. And her daughter is dreaming big too. Kai wants to be
a doctor.
A doctor? Nice.
A future that looks bright. And joining us now to discuss Guaranteed Basic Income programs is Teri Olle with the Economic Security Project. Welcome to the show, Teri.
Thank you.
So let's talk about these basic guaranteed income programs. Now, they've become popular over the past few years, especially in California, especially after Stockton launched its program in 2019. Can you talk about why more cities are embracing them, especially in California?
Yeah, absolutely. I think as your piece highlighted, guaranteed income just works. It not only provides people the resources that they need to address their own individual needs, whether that's Megan's situation where she needed housing, or we've seen research show that gives people the opportunity to cover childcare or transportation so that they can find better employment and stay employed. But it also provides the dignity and agency that people crave and that people deserve so that they can be the authors of their own lives.
And of course, for this type of program to really move beyond just a pilot and become permanent, what kind of support will it take, for example, and where would the funding come from? I know I've read there are some concerns from critics that maybe it could mean increased taxes to fund these programs, or, where would that money come from to support them?
Yeah, I'm glad you asked that. I mean, I think the first thing is that we need political will and leaders. And what we've seen in the LA area and throughout California is tremendous leadership of elected officials and other leaders in the communities embracing guaranteed income because they see how effective it is at providing for people who need that economic stability in their lives. Certainly the public's consensus is already there. If we take evidence from the expanded federal child tax credit that was in place during 2021, where over 90% of households with children in this country received monthly payments. averaging like $400 a month. And that made a colossal difference. It dropped poverty in half almost immediately, cut food insecurity. And all of the research from that experiment has shown that people had more stability. They were able to provide for themselves, provide for their families, get and keep employment. And so, I would say in terms of like what it costs and where we find that, we make decisions about what we invest in every single day at every level of government. And I think what we saw over the last few years is that we can ask our government to do big things, and they can respond. And so the question is, do we have the political will to actually move forward with major policy reform that actually provides for people?
Now, do these programs potentially have any negative effects, for example, such as maybe disincentivizing work, or that money is used for things other than basic needs?
Yeah, that's not what we're seeing in the research. I think, as Natalie mentioned in your piece, what we've seen from, for example, like the Stockton Project, is that people were able to get better jobs. So one person who was a participant in that program, when he started in the program, he had 3 really low wage, low future jobs. And having that guaranteed income actually gave him the ability to leave some of that employment that was not serving him or his family and apply for and get a better job, which not only was better for his economic stability and security, and also gave him time to spend with his family. Told a really incredible story about being able to see his kids swim on a Saturday. He had no idea they had learned to swim because he just hadn't been around.